Thank you. Now we are continuing to look at the potential economic fallout here in Western New York from the proposed U.S. tariffs against Canadian-sourced vehicles and auto parts. There is more of a focus here because of the local auto industry factory plants located here for GM and Ford. Channel 2's Ron Plant spoke with an auto industry observer who also studies labor issues.
Huge impacts. The biggest thing that scares auto companies is uncertainty.
Art Wheaton's assessment of the latest tariff turnaround, if you will, as the Trump administration, which saw its previous tariffs policy from last year struck down by the Supreme Court, now this past weekend calling for a new round of 50% tariffs for the auto industry, specifically aimed at Canadian-sourced vehicles and auto parts. With a breakdown of that new trade agreement negotiation, we're paying closer attention with our GM engine or propulsion plant in Tonawanda and the Ford body parts stamping plant in Hamburg, along with various other car component manufacturers and suppliers in this area. So what do more changes in tariffs mean for those executives in the GM and Ford corporate suites in Detroit? Maybe anybody's guess.
We don't know what's going to happen, and that really makes it hard to plan. And having a 50% difference in the price of that tariff, so instead of being a $60,000 F-150, if it becomes a $90,000 F-150.
Wheaton rolled out another way to look at it, since those locally produced elements from our plants are ferried by truck or rail across our bridges in the river to assembly plants in Oshawa and Oakville, Ontario.
So if you're putting a 50% markup on the parts and on the finished vehicles, that's a huge amount, when the entire reason for NAFTA and then for USMCA was to try to have very low cost or low trade barriers instead of 50% is huge. It's massive for the price of a vehicle.
So far, no changes seen at the Western New York auto industry operations. In fact, last year, an over $880 million new investment for new equipment in the GM Tonawanda plant. But again,
these tariffs are very disruptive for the sector and can be very hurtful for Buffalo because we don't have an assembly plant here.
So far, no comment today from local leaders of the United Auto Workers Union. We reached out to them last year. They supported the Trump tariffs as a way to push more U.S.-based factory production. The Detroit Free Press is reporting their national union leaders now say these new proposed tariffs are too broadly aimed at the Canadians and their auto plants, which have some kindred union connection with the U.S. UAW. On your side, Ron Plants, Channel 2 News.